Alrighty, hey guys, welcome back. Today we have a big video, in my opinion, right? So, I'm probably gonna title this something like Influence Ultimate Guide or something like that. And what we're gonna be talking about today is all the ways to gain influence, influence advantages, and what to use influence for. It's gonna go from early game stuff to late game stuff to stuff when you're a vassal to when you're not to when you own your own kingdom. All of it, as much as I can, remember and look up and research and all that. So yeah, I have a huge script, huge. It took me like I would say probably like an hour and a half to write. I'm gonna put it on the screen right now, as you can see. It's gonna be down in the description. And yeah, we're gonna go through all of it. It's gonna be probably a long video. I'd say probably 30 minutes, maybe less. We'll see. We'll see how it goes, right? But yeah, let's just start it off. Okay, so oh yeah, also just PSA. We'll try. I'm gonna try to include as many ways to gain influence as possible. If I do miss something, please let me know. Comment down below, and I'm gonna add it to this list that's gonna be in the description. Okay. So if I do miss something, just let me know, and I'll put it to the list, and the list will be even more complete. Okay. But yeah, okay, so let's start off with how to gain influence and influence advantages. So I'm going to split that up into two categories, which is earned influence and passive influence. So earned influence has to be done by the player. Like pretty much you need to do something to gain the influence, right? You need to waste your time to gain that influence. Passive influence is given to the player over time, with the player having to put minimal or no effort to gain influence. Something that's just over time, and you don't really, you don't have to do something every day to get that influence. Passive. Now let's start with earned. So earned influence, the basic ones: battles, sieges, hideouts. Whenever you win a battle, let's just quickly attack one of these boys over here. If I can catch up to them. I just want to get the screen up there to show you guys. I want to make this, Yep, attack you. Oh, they gave up. Well, that didn't help, really. Okay, so we need to attack a little bit bigger camp, but okay. So while we search for people to attack, so battles, sieges, and hideouts, winning will give you influence based on your odds and perks and skills that you have, because those all affect it, right? And in my opinion, this is a good influence gain. I'm going to show you a couple other influence gains, and I don't see them as good, but this is a very good one. It is the basic one. Everyone will do this. It's a basic, thing in the game. Fighting. Very basic. Alrighty, let's send troops. And usually when you win, this will be the screen you will get. And as you can see, you gained influence. I gained very little influence. Why? Because I fought a very small group of attackers, right? Let's say there was, I had the 300 like I have right now, about 300, and they also had 300. I would gain about 10 influence because it would be a fair fight, right? Let's say I only had 100 and they had 300 and I won, I'd gain about 20. It all depends on your odds. The better the odds the enemy has and you still win, like you prevail as the underdog, you gain more, right? That's why in the beginning, a lot of tutorials and a lot of people tell you, hey, make sure to take 1-on-5 fights against looters and stuff like that, because you will gain more experience, more influence, renown, morale, all that stuff, right? Because the better odds for the enemy, better reward for you if you win, pretty much. Now, let's go for perks and skills that... so I'm going to split this up into two things. So we're going to do perks and skills for earned influence, and then I have another section for perks and skills for the passive influence. So don't think I missed one. I'm just going to include it for the later version, right? So earning perks and skills that help with influence. Just another PSA, some perks and skills are broken right now. They said they're going to fix it very soon in new updates. There's also mods out there. I have a video also talking about it, uploaded like 2 days ago. It's going to be right next to this video. Now, so charm perks, let's go right into it. Let's get past all this. So if we go to charm. Okay, so charm perks at 125, we have... where is it? Gain 10 plus 10 more influence by winning tournaments. So This makes tournaments really good source of influence in my opinion. But before this, they're not the best in terms of influence, in my opinion. Now the second one for charm is 175 required. And we have this one right here. Where is it? Not this one. Because this one doesn't really affect you, right? But this one, gain 20% more influence from personal activities, our glorious leader. So pretty much any activity, fighting, all that stuff, pretty much any activity, 20% more. I think this is a very good charm perk. But I picked this one because I had my own kingdom, so, you know. If you don't have your own kingdom, if you're a vassal, good perk. I picked this one. It is what it is. Let's go to leadership. We have one for leadership at 175. Right here. 20% less influence needed to call parties to army. What does that mean? Let's look it up right here. If you have your own kingdom or if you're a vassal, pretty much go to the kingdom tab, go to the armies tab, create army. And the more people you call, as you can see, into your army, right, the bigger the influence cost. And, well, actually, no, this perk doesn't involve the cohesion part of the army, right? To pretty much refresh your army, like the little bar over here. That's not included. It's just to call people into your army. So with that perk, you will spend 20% less of this influence to call people. Now, we got trade perks. We have one at 250, and right here, your caravans and workshops gain influence. This is very good. I kind of wanted to put it under the passive one, right? But at the same time, I feel like this is still on the earning side because you need to earn the gold to make the workshops, to make the caravans, and then it will become passive. But I still think you need to do more than minimum, work, right? It takes a little bit of time. Plus, to get to 250 trade also takes a little bit of time. So that's why I put it under the earn perks and skills. Now we have the steward, which is 75. Where is this one? Yes, warmonger. Less influence to summon vassals to army. Same thing. Same thing I just described. Literally the same perk, just named differently. You go to kingdom. When you create an army, again, this influence cost will be, reduced. Now, so that's pretty much the perks and skills for the earned influence. And now let's move on to some other ways to get influence before we move on to the passive influence, right? So you could do quests and it earns you a little bit of influence. In my opinion, I think it's a bad influence gain. What I mean by this, it's not terrible, but battles, sieges, and hideouts are a lot better than doing quests, in my opinion. Doing quests do give you good dinars and stuff like that, right? Or reputation. But in terms of influence, I don't think it's the best. Now, tournaments also give you influence, but in my opinion, if you don't have the champion perk, I wouldn't focus too much on tournaments. Tournaments are very good for renown, especially early game if you want to reach clan tier 1, because tournaments give you 3 renown per win. Early game or late game, whatever you want to call it. I think that tournaments are only worth it really after the champion perk that we just talked about, which gives 10 influence for tournament wins. Now, another way to, gain influence is, let's go to somebody who's friendly town, right? And we're going to be talking about donating troops and donating prisoners. So how do you donate troops? You go to, pretty sure it's go to keep, yes. Then you go to donate troops to garrison. By the way, this has to be a friendly fief, not your own fief. You won't gain influence for putting people into your own garrison. It needs to be a friendly one, a friendly clan, right? You can do this as a vassal or a ruler. And pretty much, when you donate troops, I'm going to show you. So, pretty much, if the troop level is between 1 and 19, you will gain 1 influence for each troop of those that you put in. If the level is, let's say from here, from 20 to 29, that is 2 influence. This guy would give us 2 influence if we donated him. And then units like this with 30 plus levels, they give 3 influence. So just keep that in mind. In my opinion, I think it's still worth it. Here's my opinion. So in terms of cost, I think donating very high troops is not worth it because they cost way too much. What's better to do is get 3 recruits that only cost 20 each, which will only equal 60 dinars, and that will give you 3 influence. So it's the same amount of influence gain as a 30 plus level unit, but for like literally, I'd say 10 to 20% of the cost, right? 20%. Now, donate prisoners. You go to same place, you go to keep, go to dungeon, donate prisoners. Prisoners are different. Every single prisoner that you donate is only 1 influence. The level does not matter for this, what do you call it? For this influence gain. It does not matter. I would still suggest you just give them the small ones. You know, it really doesn't matter. Unless you want them to be super strong and you're fighting a lot of wars and you want a strong garrison, then I guess you give them better ones, right? I would suggest archers because if you're defending, archers are very, very good. Now, so that pretty much takes care of earned influence. Influence where you have to work for it. That's, you know, that takes care of it in my opinion. If you, like I said before, if there's anyone that I missed, because I've looked over this list a couple times, but if there's any ones that I missed, please include in the description and I will include it in the list. I've been writing this for a long time. I don't know if I missed anything, but try my best. Now, let's move on to passive influence. This is influence where you don't have to do pretty much anything. It'll be over time. So one of the best passive influences are policies. I made a policy video before. As you can see, there's policies that do really good, even one that gives me 82, right? Let's talk about policies. I have a full list in this script that's going to be in the description of all the policies that have to do with influence and exactly what they do. I made sure to write all of them out just to make it easy for you guys, right? But I'm going to go through, I can go through all of them really quick, just get it over with. So, Sacred Magistry, right? Ruler clan earns 5 influence per day, but non-ruler clans lose 1 influence per day. So if you're a vassal, you would be under this category. You would lose 1 influence per day. If you're the ruler of your own kingdom, you gain 5 influence. Very, very good if you have your own kingdom. Super good. One of the first ones I usually get. Now, Royal Guard. Ruler's clan gain 1 influence per day. Non-ruling clans lose 0.2 influence per day. Like I said before, if you're the ruler of your own kingdom, you gain +1. If you're a vassal, you lose 0.2. Also, you get a very nice party size increase if you're the ruler. So also a very nice one to get very in the beginning. Then we got Council of Commons. Each notable yields 1 influence per day to the settlement's owner's clan. So how can I explain this to you guys? Okay, so let's say you own fiefs, right? This has to do with rulers. I'm pretty sure this has to do with rulers, right? No, this has to do with any clan. You can be a vassal or a ruler. It depends on about your fiefs. So it takes in all your fiefs, right? They all have nobles in them. And pretty much each noble is counted towards the amount you're going to get. As you can see, mine is 82. That is because I own how many fiefs? I'm pretty sure I own, hold on. I own 9 fiefs, and in those 9 fiefs, because fiefs are only castles and towns, they're not counting villages, right, in this count, but pretty much there's nobles in towns, there's nobles in castles, and there's nobles in villages. They count all those names up, and they give you +1 for each single one. As you can see, mine is +82, which is an insane amount. So the more fiefs you have, the more nobles you will have, the bigger impact that this policy will have. This is a very, very good policy, especially late game. As you can see, this is like almost 70% of my influence comes from this one policy. Very good in my opinion. Now we have castle charters. Each castle you own gives 1 influence per day. Very simple. Works for vassals and rulers. It's just if you own the castle. Now we got military cornet. Military achievements grant 30% more influence. Also very good. I think the 10% wage increase is nothing compared to 30% more influence. I think this is very, very good, especially in terms of war. Very good. Now we got serfdom. Villages grant 0.2 influence per day to owner's clan. Either you're a vassal or you're a ruler. This benefits you both. Feudal inheritance. Clans gain 0.2 influence for each fief they own. Again, if you're a vassal or if you're a ruler, it's both a gain for you guys. Now we have magistrates, which is ruler clan gains 1 influence per day. Very simple. This affects only if you're a ruler of your own kingdom, not if you're a vassal. Now we have Senate, which tier 3 or above clans gain 1 influence per day. Very simple. Your tier you can find right here in the clans tab. That's your tier. So if you're 3 or above, which I am, you will gain 1 influence per day. Now we have, after that one, we have noble retinues, I think that's called. Tier 4 plus clans gain 1 influence per day, and the party side leaders increased by 50. Very good. Like I said before, depends on your clan tier. If you're above 4, you get this. Very great bonus. Works for everybody. Like I said, these two right here, they work for everybody. You don't have to be, you can either be a ruler or a vassal. It'll work the same way. Let me get a drink, guys. I've been talking a lot. Okay. Let's get right back to it. So, after the noble ones, we have Lord's Privy Council, which is pretty much the same thing. Tier 5 plus clans gain 1 influence per day. Same way as the last two I talked about. Once you're above 5, you get pretty much the benefit of Senate, noble retinues, and Lord's Privy Council, which should be a total of 3 influence per day between those 3 policies. Very good. They really don't have any downsides. Just overall good ones. Usually the clan always supports it, because why wouldn't you? Now we got trial by jury. This one right here, it increases a couple things, but clans lose 1 influence per day. This has to do with all clans if you're the ruler or the vassal. So it's a negative, in my opinion, towards influence, right? But if you need the loyalty, if you need the positive part of it, I guess it's worth it, right? Which in my opinion, it is worth it in my playthrough. Now we have law speakers. Leaders with high charm gain 1 influence per day. Low charm, lose 1 influence per day. Why did I get this? Because my charm is amazing, so why not? Plus a lot of the my kingdom not enjoyed it, but they supported it. Now we have marshals. Armies led by tier 5 nobles require 10% less influence. But ruler clan loses 1, loses 1 influence per day. Is this good? I think this is good. I think the 1 influence per day doesn't really matter. Plus, this will make your other clans want to start more armies. And the more armies you start, the more stuff they can besiege, and it could snowball from there. So I think the 1 per day is worth it. I can barely, you know what I mean? You can barely tell once you get all the other ones that we just talked about, right? Now we have peerage, which influence cost of overriding popular decision is doubled as the ruler. Pretty much means if let's say I want to pass this, right? Like pretty much, look, everybody hates it. So if I want to overrule it, and I have this this peerage on, right? This is going to cost me double the influence to pretty much, pass it, because, it's not the popular opinion. See? There it is. Now, next one is bailiffs. There it is. Where is it? Towns with security greater than 60 yield 1 additional influence to the ruler. So if you have good towns, if your towns are, prosperity-wise and all other stuff, and like I said, I'm pretty sure it says security, right? Yeah, if your town's security is greater than 60, you get 1 plus influence, to the owner of it. Either vassal or ruler, same way. Plus it increases your security by 1 per day as well. So it's a very good one overall, in my opinion. Now we have precarial land tenure. I didn't say that right, but it is what it is. Okay, so this one, influence cost of proposing to remove a fief from another clan is reduced by 50% for the ruler clan. What does this mean? So if we go to, so if you own your own kingdom, right? There's a thing where you can pretty much propose to give another clan settlement to somebody else in your clan. I mean, somebody else in your kingdom, right? So I can propose to give this to somebody else. Like, yes, we should award this fief to a new clan, right? Let's do it. And what this pretty much does, it's reduced by 50%, right? And then you get to pick another person that you want to give it to, right? Very simple. Now we got Royal Commissions. This one, influence cost of creating an army is reduced by 30% for the ruler clan. It's cool, I guess, in the beginning, but it's not really needed towards the end because you're gonna have so much influence it doesn't really matter. But in the beginning, I think it's actually kind of good. Now we have war tax. Which one is this? The influence cost of declaring war is doubled for the ruler clan. This one is broken right now because if we go here, we cannot propose peace. We cannot declare war. These buttons do not work. The only way we can declare war is just by attacking them. So this one doesn't really work right now. Now we have royal privilege. Influence cost of overriding popular decision is halved by ruler. Like I said, we had just one that doubled it, right? And this one pretty much halves it. So you have this one pretty much like, let's say I wanted to, let's say propose this, right? Same thing. Nobody wants it, but I still say yes. It's still gonna pass, but the influence cost of me pretty much overriding everybody else's decision is pretty much half, which is good for me, right? If I wanna pass some stuff that people don't want. Now we have King's Mercenaries. That is the last one. And this one, what is it? Ruler gains double influence from mercenaries, but non-ruler clans. Oh, let me change the spell. Non-ruler clans gain 10% less influence from battles. I think this is good if you have a lot of mercenaries, but in my opinion, mercenaries are kind of broken right now because they just switch sides way too much for this to actually take effect. In my opinion, they switch way too much. But if they fix that issue, this might be very, very good. Because what I'm going to talk about this a little bit later, but when you hire mercenaries, right? For every influence or for every 2 influences they earn for you, they will take dinars, pretty much, you know? So same way as when you become a mercenary for a different kingdom, right? You give them influence for your battles. That's how it works, right? But yeah, those are all the policies. That was a lot to talk about. Like I said, the whole list will be down below. And yeah, let's move on. Let's talk about passive perks. We're still on the passive, what's it called? Passive influence. Now we're talking about passive perks / skills to help with influence. Now we have charm perks. Let's get right into it. We have, what do you call it? We have courtship that requires 225. Okay, so this one, +1 influence per day for each allied lord you are waiting in the same town with cannot be part of your army. Alrighty, so what does this mean? Let's say I'm waiting in this town, right? And let's say 4 other lords, they join me in this same town, right? As I'm waiting in it. I'm going to gain 1 influence per day for each lord, right? But they cannot be part of my army. You can't be in an army and go into a town and just wait, because that would be broken, right? Because what I could do if that was the case, I can create an army, pretty much invite everybody that I have, which is a lot of people, and then just wait in a town and probably gain like what? Hundreds per day, right? So, in my opinion, this one isn't great. It's kind of cool, but I think it should be lowered for the requirement because the chances of that happening is very low. Only times it does happen is if you own, let's say your kingdom only has 2 towns, then yes, lords will visit those 2 towns if you have a lot of clans. Like, as you can tell, when you're about to take over, right, and they have 1 town left, like you're about to take over a kingdom and they have 1 town left, you go and check who's in their town and it's like 15 different lords. It's a huge list, right? That's pretty much when this perk actually does something good. But apart from that, it's kind of useless in my opinion. Now we have Immortal Charm, which is the right here. Every 5 skills, after 250 gives you 1 influence point per day. I think this is amazing. I think this is great. Pretty much what this does is, let's say, okay, so 275, once you reach 275, it starts, right? And at 280, you're going to gain 1 influence per day. At 285, you're going to gain 2 influence per day. So pretty much every 5 levels after 275 gives you 1 more influence per day. I think that's very nice. I think it's a good end game charm skill in my opinion. Now we have some steward perks. We have Supreme Authority, which is at 25, which is right here. 1+1 influence per day if you're the ruler. Very simple one. It's a very easy choice too. 10% more attacks from villages. This one's just an easy choice. Now the second one is Prominence, which is right here. You receive 1+ influence if you're a vassal. So pretty much it's either you choose this one or this one. If you choose both, it doesn't make sense because you have to pick a path. Are you going to be a vassal or are you going to be a leader, right? So it's you pick one or the other, in my opinion. Now let's talk about a couple more things that give passive income. These don't really have a category, but I'm just going to list them off. And yeah. Okay, so when you own let's say when you own a town, this has to do with towns. When you own a town, let's go to a town that I own. I own Vercheg. Let's go there, and I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. So in each town, there's an upgrade called Forum, which gives you 1 influence per day per upgrade. And then it gives you +3 for being the highest upgrade. And what I mean by this is if you look into my influence, the ones that say buildings, right? As you can see, the Revel buildings only gives me +1. The Vercheg buildings gives me +3. Why? Because in Revel, my Forum upgrade is only on the first one, right? But if you go to Vercheg, I'm going to show you exactly what I mean on the screen. So if you go to Manage Town, it has to be your own town, by the way. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can do this as a you can do this as a vassal if you have your own town, if you were gifted a town, right? So go here. This upgrade right here, as you can see, +3 bonus to owner's influence, right? Every time you upgrade, the first upgrade of this will give you +1, the second upgrade will give you +2, and the third upgrade will give you +3. And it's very good the more towns you own because guess what? It adds up. +3, +3, it all adds up, right? Now, a weird one that you also get is supporters. You can see it under serfdom and above Lord's Privy Council. Supporters, I have +0.3. One time I had +1.3. And what does this mean? I have no clue. I cannot find a source. I've tried to, get rid of all the policies, get rid of all the perks. And the only thing that it's linked to is castles. But it's not explained anywhere in the policies or perks. All I know is the more castles you have, the better the supporters thing is. That's all I know. I can't link it anywhere. I've tried to look it up. I wanted to see if anybody else knew. But yeah, it's somehow linked to castles. I think they're going to include it later. Maybe in like a new perk or something like that. But for right now, that's all I got for you. It also might be this. If we go to Charm, it also might be this one that's like, doesn't say exactly what it is. That might be my theory, right? But who knows? Now, another thing. If you start an army with people, right? And let's say, okay, let's start an army. Let's see if we can get some people in the army real quick. Those guys right there. Hopefully they can show up kind of quick. Okay, so pretty much when you're in an army, you have your amount of food and you have the army's amount of food, right? Now, once these guys in your army start running out of food that they are carrying, because they usually don't carry as much as you would, right? They're gonna start taking from your food, and every time they start taking from your food, you gain influence, right? It's I'd consider it's passive because they usually do run a. See, as you can see, they have 957. That's how much we have total. But as you can see, out of that 940, I have pretty much like 90%. So once their food runs out, they're gonna take my food and they're gonna give influence back. Now, the last way is mercenaries. Like I said, mercenaries are kind of broken, but once they start working again, mercenaries do give you their influence in return to you giving them dinars for fighting for you, right? And you gain double influence if you're using the King's Mercenary policy, which if we go back, it pretty much says you gain double influence from mercenaries, pretty much. But yeah, those are all the ways to passively make influence. So we talked about earning them. We talked about passive. Now let's talk about what do we do with influence, right? Let me just take one more drink because this is a long video. We're past 30. I told you it's going to be a long video. Throat's starting to hurt, but it's okay. This is what we're here for. Alrighty, so using influence. There's not that many uses for it. As you can see, I have a lot and I can't really spend it. But I'm going to go over as much uses as I can pretty much, remember and find and all that stuff. So pretty much you can, as a vassal or a ruler of a kingdom, you can propose and disavow policies. Right here, you can use it for this, right? Disavow pretty much means get rid of them so they're not active. And propose means, propose it to the kingdom. Now, if I propose this, let's propose one that is not in favor, right? So let's say in this situation, if you're a vassal, you can add, I think, 20, 50, and 100 influence to sway the vote, to give you a bigger percentage, right? But as a ruler, you can pass it regardless, but you're gonna have to pay extra influence because it's gonna be against the popular vote, right? Like we talked about earlier. Now, as a ruler, let's get rid of this. Now, as a ruler, what do you call it? Rulers can also, wait, hold on. Yeah, okay, so rulers can also revoke fiefs from clans. So if we go here, like I said before, you can propose to take this fief away from them and give it to somebody else. That costs either 200 or 400 depending on what policies you have, like I said before, right? Right now it's costing me 400, but if I pass the policy, I forgot what policy it was to make it half. Right here, see? This same one, if we propose it, now it should be a 200 if I'm not mistaken. See, now it's at 200, like I said before. It depends on just the, the policies you have. So if I wanted to pretty much take it away from this guy and give it to him or whoever is on the voting table, that costs 200. You can also expel clans for 200, as you can see right here. If you want to just completely get rid of them, you can do that as well. We can do that as an example. Oh no, don't do it. Yes, we are. See, they left, and pretty much once they leave, you vote for who gets to keep the fiefs, right? Pretty much like that, right? Now, what else? Rulers can also support their clans. I very much recommend you to do this. If a clan just joins your kingdom, do this a lot. For 50 influence, which is barely nothing compared to what most rulers have, right? You support them and you gain 2 influence for the whole clan and all its members, right? Just by pressing support. You can press it an infinite amount of times and you can make them really good friends with you and they will support a lot of your decisions. They won't leave and stuff like that, right? Now, influence is also used to create armies. Armies can be created as a vassal or a ruler. And like I said, we talked about the different policies and the different perks that go into this and kind of help this out, right? And yeah, also, if you want to create a party that doesn't use influence, it's very simple. Make sure the party consists of only, what do you call it? Of only your companion parties. If you make an army of just your companion parties, you don't use up influence to, what do you call it? To start it, or you don't use influence when this bar goes down. Like if we just wait a little bit, right? Let's run around a little bit. This bar is going to go down right here, and when we refresh it, you're going to see, hold on. Let's just make it go down. Okay, let's go for this. There we go. We just wanted to go below 90. Okay, it's went below 90. Now, when you pretty much repair your cohesion, which pretty much put it back up, is gonna cost you some influence if they're not part of your companions. If the whole party, if the whole army consists of just you and your companions, you do not have to pay influence. This only has to do with other clans that join your army, right? But yeah, that pretty much concludes this tutorial, this ultimate guide. My throat hurts. There's a lot of talking, but hopefully this gave you insight on as much things as I can give you insight about when it comes to influence, right? We talked about earned influence, we talked about passive influence, and then we talked about how to use influence. Like I said, let me know what else I missed, if I did miss anything. The full transcript and the full, the full guide, everything that I talked about will be down below. It's all, all typed out. And yeah, let me know what you guys thought. I want to make a couple more of these. Not right now because my voice hurts, but I'm probably gonna make a couple more of these on big parts, like probably one for dinars, one for another one, and stuff like that. But yeah, if you have any questions, let me know, and like always, stay safe.